What's going on, everybody? This is the Roaming Prepper, and thank you for joining me once again for another video. Uh, what I want to talk about today is something that we kind of, as a community, have overlooked, and I think it's a mistake to do this. Whether you're an experienced preparedness person, you're new to being ready for emergencies, hell, you could even be a homesteader, a farmer, have a house, whatever your situation is. These are things that they're relatively inexpensive when it comes to prep. They can be spaced out, they can be budgeted, and I think they're necessary for everyday use. So, what I'm talking about is what's in the OSHA environment often referred to as PPE, personal protective equipment. And there's a variety of types of PPE that people use in different businesses, but there's some basic ones that everybody in preparedness should have because they just have a lot of applications. So what I want to do is I'm going to basically go from head to toe. I'm going to start with the protective gear for the head and work my way down the body. First and foremost, if you live in any kind of environment, whether you're in the woods or in an urban environment, it's a good idea to have a hard hat. These can be obtained at most hardware stores. You can also get them at places like Tractor Supply. Truck stops have them. There's a lot of easy places to find them. I'm sure you can get them on Amazon and whatnot. The hard hat does a few things. One, it increases visibility. Now, what I want to point out before we go any further is that when I say you need this stuff, this is for the 85-90% likely occurrences. The fires, the earthquakes, the floods, the tornadoes, hurricanes, other incidents where you may have falling debris, equipment falling. So a good hard hat should have, and you see it here, should have a nice liner on the inside. It is adjustable. Most of the ones on the market have a twist adjustment to tighten it to your head. It should be set up so that if you look down or look up, it doesn't fall off your head. A lot of people wear them loose. That's not the way to wear them. That's actually a way to get yourself hurt because it'll fall off and then you get hit in the head anyway. But having this kind of device, just think about it. If you're in say a hurricane, right, which happens every year, or in a fire has passed your area and now you're out cleaning up debris, you could have branches, you could have parts of houses and buildings that are now loose as a result of the storm, the tornado, the fire that can fall off and crack you on the head. These are the kind of things people don't think about, but you get a massive head injury during an shtf when you can't get to the hospital because of flooding or whatever is going on. That can be a problem. Now, a lot of people choose to use ballistic helmets in lieu of a hard hat. You can do either or. This is designed to take an impact from a solid object. It's not meant to protect you from a bullet. By the same token, a ballistic helmet is meant to protect you specifically from a bullet. It may not do the best job of protecting you from side or lateral hits of objects like a falling branch or a brick. Not that either would feel good, but any kind of head protection is better than none. But in general, I would recommend a hard hat. These are really cost effective. Again, higher end ones, $30, and your generic ones, which are still OSHA rated, under 20, or they should be anyway. Another thing I do have, which is this is an expensive device we use for work, is an H2S monitor. And an H2S monitor, what it does is you wear it right around where your breathing occurs, and it monitors the presence of hydrogen sulfide and other toxic gases, specifically hydrogen sulfide. Most deaths from inhaling a toxic fume will occur from carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, smoke inhalation, which really this doesn't help you with, or hydrogen sulfide. Hydrogen sulfide is often a byproduct of either energy like oil and gas production, but it's also very prevalent in sewers and in confined spaces, so where chemicals have been. So knowing that you have something that will alert you like, hey, this air is becoming dangerous, is super important, and it can truthfully, it can save your life. I'll go put this back here now, and we'll kind of continue on with that. Now, one thing I will do on the inner liner or the inner rim of a hard hat, I will put my my last name and the last four of my social. In the event that's a workplace thing, kind of like a dog tag. In the event something happens, like I fall overboard in any kind of ship, I'll be able to actually, if someone finds my helmet, they'll at least know, okay, this guy with this last name and these social is somewhere around here. So, a sad thing to have to do, but it does help. And especially if you just get knocked unconscious or you fall down, they know you were in the air and they kind of know who it was that was there. So just for the head protection. Now going down the body, safety glasses. Now they're the goggle types that you've seen like when we were in chemistry lab in high school that cover your whole face and they have the little portholes. You also have this one, which is an OSHA rated to protect you from flying debris, gravel. I actually use these quite a bit, not just on the shooting range. I mean, if you're a shooter, you already probably have them, but you also use them. I've used them during hurricanes when things are flying around, but I had to go out because I had to secure something from damaging the house. These are typically available under 20 bucks. You can actually find OSHA rated ANZI for under 10, depending on where you look. I'd shop around, try to find them, make sure they're OSHA rated at least. What you don't want to do is buy a polycarbonate lens that's not OSHA rated. It gets hit by something, then it breaks to pieces, and you've basically created a little hand grenade in your face, because that's not going to help you at all. So being able to have a good set of safety glasses, and I would have different colors. For instance, these are kind of ambered out. This is clear, and you also have fully shaded. There's also an orange, like a bright amber. This is actually kind of, not really. That helps you have improved visibility in the dark purely because it gives more light contrast to the available light. I actually like using them when I go clay shooting or even when I'm driving in those overcast days where it's too bright for dark glasses, but when you don't wear anything, it's a little, the glare is too much and you have difficulty seeing. So again, hard hat, safety glasses, and if you can afford it and if it's appropriate, an H2S monitor. Now something else to think about from personal protective gear is your generic N95 mask or another respirator, preferably from 3M or a company like that. Now there were a lot of debates about, well, for Rona, this didn't make sense. No, Rona didn't make sense because Rona was a sub-nanoparticle that would make it through most masks. This is meant to keep things like sheetrock dust, dirt, reduce some smoke. It's not going to help you like a fireman's equipment will, but it will keep larger scale debris out of your face. You think about it, a lot of people get sick because they inhale a bunch of particles. They inhale smoke or pieces of whatever grass that get into their face. It starts clogging up their lungs, especially like you think about 9/11 when the buildings came down, all that sheetrock became a big powder. This actually could have helped a lot of people from not getting sick or at least reduce the exposure. Again, obviously I've reviewed the Mira Seaburn mask, like the CM6M, which I think is a phenomenal product, but that's not always practical to carry. You can't carry a Seaburn mask in an airplane, but I can stick one of these little boxes in my carry-on. TSA will look at it and go like, they ask me what I'm doing. I'm an engineer. They don't care. It's not dangerous. It's not on the prohibited list. Easy to use. And again, relatively cheap. You can find these boxes, get 3 masks. I think this is 3 for 15 bucks, something like that. Not super expensive. Another thing to think about, earplugs. Now, I use these all the time because of shooting ranges, but if you wind up in an environment, you have fire, you have people freaking out, panicking, you're kind of in this weird zone where depending on the danger, you may want to hear what's going on around you, but at the same time, you don't want to blow out your eardrums because of an explosion or something else. Being able to have the option to protect your hearing if you're in an environment where something has happened and like there's a fire or whatever incident's going on and it is very loud, what you don't want to do is burst your eardrums and now you can't hear a daggone thing and you're bleeding out of your ears. This will help protect your ears. Also, if heaven forbid you wind up getting in some kind of combative situation and shots are exchanged, you can preserve your hearing at least somewhat using these devices. And again, this bag it reduces by 33 decibels your sound, and it has 50 pairs. So 25 uses for most of us because we have two ears. Not a bad investment. And also, if you're working at home, after an incident, tree falls on the house or tree falls on the fence line and you have to cut wood, you're using a chainsaw, you're using some kind of heavy equipment, you can protect your hearing from your own work as you repair from whatever has happened. So again, something to think about as far as PPE. Now, going down the body, work gloves. Now these are fishing gloves, right? These have I don't know if you can see it, but they have a rubber mesh over the cloth. This is really meant for cut protection. It's actually they're fishing gloves. So if I'm filleting fish, cutting bait, whatever, I don't slice my hand open. It kind of protects me from that. Now this would not be suitable for, say, a liquid chemical. And it doesn't really protect me from impact very well. So there are different types of gloves. Sadly, I was looking for my impact gloves. I couldn't find them. They're somewhere in the house. Impact gloves over the ridge of the hand would have these rubber reinforcements stitched into the material. And what that does is prevent you from getting your hands crushed or pinched, at least to a point. Obviously, if you get it crushed under major equipment, you're going to be hurt anyway. But it also prevents you from tearing up your knuckles and your fingers if you have to go through something like brush or you have to reach into gravel. If you've ever tried to grab something or dig gravel with a bare hand, you tear the hell out of your skin. Having work gloves of some type, and again, they're different gloves for different reasons, so make sure you do your homework. If you're going to be dealing with a liquid material, hush Jackson, if you're going to be, ding dong over here, if you're going to be dealing with a liquid chemical, you're going to need rubber gloves, and probably higher too. If you're going to be dealing with animals, you may want cattle gloves, which are leather and come up higher to protect you from bites and scratches. So understand what type of glove, what type of eyewear, what type of face mask, respirator you will need depending on the emergency. But all of these items can be obtained for under 20 bucks. You can space it out. Get this 1 month, get this next paycheck, get this next paycheck. You guys get the deal. Now, something else to consider going down the body is work coveralls. And this particular type of coverall goes over the whole body. So it almost looks like a painter's suit. Painter coveralls are the same way. Not overalls, which is the little bib like you'd see in the farming cartoons. No, this covers your whole body. And they have long sleeve. Now, this particular type is actually FR, fire retardant or fire resistant. So if you get hit by a flash fire, like you're working on something and the fumes ignite and you get hit with fire, it will protect you from massive burns across your body. Whereas some synthetic, actually this is cotton, but a lot of synthetics like the polyesters will actually, they're largely plastic, will melt to your skin and they will cause worse burns and worse injury if you get hit by a flash fire. Obviously it doesn't make you fireproof. You can still die from fire, you can still get burned, but it does protect you. And also, if you're working in an area where you could be dealing with dust or another contaminant, you could put this over your clothes, do your work, and then take it off. And it has offered protection. It has protected you from those particles. Now, in a fallout situation, for instance, a radioactive fallout, which this does not protect you from radiation, by the way, but it will protect you from the particles of dust and dirt and grass that would land on you. Getting the particles away from your body as quickly as possible can save your life in a fallout environment. But even if it's just like a chemical fire or some other fire in the area, or if you're working after a hurricane or a flood and you have debris and fire ants and God knows what falling on you while you're trying to clear away the damage, having a good set of work clothes that you can put over your normal clothes and then take them off and either wash them separately or dispose of them will save you a lot of hassle, could save your life and prevent you from getting sick. Now going to further down on your body, your feet, which is something people don't think about. Folks like to have hiking shoes, sneakers, tactical boots. But one thing we don't think of a lot, steel-toed boots, right? Oops, hey, I almost caught that. Having a good set of steel-toed boots is important if you're dealing in an emergency situation where you may have falling debris, trees have been knocked over, buildings may be damaged, where rocks, other stuff may fall, or if you're moving equipment or other material that may be heavy, right? You have two or three guys trying to move, say, a fallen tree, and you don't have steel toes, and the guy with flip-flops is there, and you guys lose grip of the tree trunk, you're going to destroy his feet. And now he's got a whole new problem. Protecting your feet is probably one of the most important things I could think of, because you have no mobility at that point. Now, there are two types of reinforced toe. There's the classic steel toe, which is like this one, and it's a metal barrier placed over the ridge of the foot, the toe and the ridge of the foot, and it's bonded to the rest of the boot. The other type is actually composite, which is like a really hardened reinforced polymer. Now, why would you need the polymer, the composite or the plastic, reinforced plastic? Is because in sub-zero temperatures, this metal will get so cold that it will freeze your toes, and you'll have to have your foot amputated. I did not know this. I found this out from a guy who worked in Alaska. I was like, oh, that's terrible. The composite doesn't trap the cold, so to say. It doesn't get as cold as a metal will. But in a hotter environment, the metal actually works better, because it actually creates a little bit of a barrier from sunlight. So, it's kind of a trade-off. Knowing where you're working or where you're going to be working is important. Now, I always recommend lace-up boots so that they stay snug on your foot. You don't want your shoe coming off or flipping over and making you fall. And also, if you have to run away from something, having boots that are well tied will help you be more mobile. Now, the flip side is if your boot gets caught, you're going to have to cut the laces to get them off, as opposed to, say, a pull-on boot. But given the choice, I'd rather cut the laces, because the chances of me getting a foot stuck in something is much lower than the chance of me needing to run away from something we were working on because things went sideways. I would recommend up to the ankle, at least this minimum length. I think this is a 9-inch boot to protect your ankles. If you notice, these are all padded in here, and it will give a lot of protection from hits to the side. I've seen people go into work sites with like sneaker style steel toes, and then something rolls and hits them in the ankle, and they get a fractured ankle, and they're down on the ground anyway. Having the extra protection coming up your leg, and they do have higher boots. Those of you who work on the farms or in ag have probably used them. You know what I'm talking about. Now, these and the coveralls you can get anywhere from $30 for really cheap ones to, a couple of hundred, depending on the quality. Steel toes, this is going to run you a couple of hundred. These are probably the most expensive, but you can get cheaper ones that will get most of what you need done at the academies, Walmarts, for under $50. So, folks, that kind of wraps up the topic of personal protective equipment, or PPE. And again, different people do different things. You take like the Angry Prepper's a firefighter. He has all sorts of respirators depending on the type of environment he's in. Whereas if you're working out in the country, you may not need a CBRN mask, but you may need one of these to keep a bunch of cut grass from going up in your sinuses and causing an asthma attack. So understanding your area, understanding the type of work you're most likely to have to deal with will help you immensely in trying to pick the right personal gear for yourself. And again, most of this stuff, like I said, up until I got to the steel-toed boots and the fire-resistant coveralls, most of the other stuff is under $20. So you can go pick one up now, pick one up next payday, and just slowly build your inventory. And these I use all the time. Not just for prepping, I use them at work, I use them at home, depending on the project. Because let's face it, most injuries that result in lost time at work happened at home. People get hurt at the house, and then they can't go to work. So in my mind, it would stand to reason that in an emergency, you're more than likely to get hurt at the house than you will in some, chaotic moment with terrorists or something like that. So understand what your risks are and prepare accordingly. In any case, folks, that's it for this one. Thank you for joining me for this video. I hope this was helpful. I hope it gave you some ideas on how to structure your personal protective equipment. Until next time, if I don't make my own premiere, where I normally will answer questions, feel free to comment or ask a question if you have one in the comments below the video. Thanks for joining me again. You guys be careful, be safe out there, and make yourselves ready for the most likely scenarios without panicking, without spending too much money. Let's all be smart in 2024. I'll see you guys later. Take care.